Okay. As I've been looking at some of your all's outlines and the first few rough drafts that are trickling in, I noticed that for some of the topics, there seems to be this tendency to sort of talk about the subjects that you're talking about in sort of, I talk about them in a vacuum or in a bubble, not attaching them to any significance or relevance in the real world. And one of the reasons that I've chosen some of the general topic areas that I have for you all to write about is because they are relevant to the real world and to current events. And so it's almost impossible to talk about things like, say, sexual assault on college campuses without talking about that in terms of real cases and real things that are going on right now on college campuses. You have to actually bring in those sorts of specific numbers and details and that kind of thing. So I wanted to walk you all through and remind you once again why it's a super good idea to be using Academic OneFile to find sources. When you get out and you just Google stuff, you find a lot of crap, quite frankly. And when you go to Academic OneFile, and I'm going to show you this in just a second, you're going to find good quality stuff that's really, really going to help you. Stuff that's really, you know, in the headlines. It's actually in the headlines. And that's the kind of information you want to help bolster your cases as you talk about these sorts of issues. So here I am. I'm on the front page of the BCTC website. I go up here to current students. You all should know the drill by now. I scroll down, click on library. I scroll down again. I say find an article. I scroll down again to Academic OneFile, which to me is the most user-friendly of all of them. And I'm in here, and if you're doing this from home, you have to type in your username and password. It's the same username and password that you use for, you know, email and PeopleSoft and everything. So just, you know, type that in. Anyway, once I'm in here, I can type in here in the basic search, but it's really very helpful to go to advanced search. So I click on that, and then I'm going to look at on these different keywords. I'm going to say college. Don't click on that because it somehow limits your search when you do that. Just you want it on there without the little quote marks around it. It searches better. I don't know why that is, but anyway, college, and then I'm going to put sexual assault. And now I'm going to go down here and say limit to full text documents because we want to make sure we have the full article. And let's say I want things that are current, you know, relevant. I can say after, let's say after 2012. That's pretty good. And let's say search and see what we get. And look what we're getting here. We're getting 122 academic journals. These are going to be helpful, but not as much as we'd really like, okay? This could be interesting. Something like this could be helpful. This could be something helpful. There's a big situation at Baylor that is, you know, probably what they're talking about there. This could be good. These journal articles could be helpful. This is, you know, going to give you, I mean, that's really short, though. It's just telling you probably about a study that was done. It's not going to give you all the details. You know, some of these can be okay. This could be helpful, but again, really, really brief. So when we go back up here, something like this is not going to help you at all because this is talking about stuff outside of this country. In India, we're not talking about American campuses, which is what you're supposed to be looking at. So we go on up here, and I would really encourage you, if you want to get stuff that's relevant to what's actually going on right now on campuses, look at your magazines and your news articles. When we click on news, you know, my God, over 4,000 things here. This is a biggie. There's a big Georgetown University study that, you know, has got almost 8,000 students in it, and it's got all kinds of really, really good basic information in it. We go on down. This is all Georgetown, all about Georgetown. But you don't want to just focus on that. You want to, you know, that's one place to start, one thing to include, but not, you don't want to just talk about Georgetown University. You would bring that in as one example, perhaps, to show how prevalent, how widespread the problem is. And you say, you know, for example, at Georgetown, you know, 3 in 10 female undergrads say that they've been, you know, groped or sexually attacked or whatever. And then you go on and say, and also, you know, at Baylor, we've got this going on, or at some other university, we've got this going on. The Baylor thing is really high profile right now. It's something interesting you might want to look into. Something going on in somewhere else. See, Snyder, this is Michigan, where they've got a problem. We've got a summit where in Minnesota, where campus officials are gathering to talk about the problem there. So, see, you bring in these kinds of examples and you show that it's a widespread problem. This is going on everywhere. Here we go. This is the Michigan thing again. The Stanford rape case, it's been all in the news. There's good information there. I mean, look at this. National Sexual Violence Resource Center. 1 in 5 women and 1 in 16 men are sexually assaulted while in college. 90% don't even report the crime. So let's say that you were doing a section in your paper on the importance of having some sort of procedure in place, that administrations need to put some procedure in place to make sure people report these things, or to make it easier, let's say, for students to report. Well, you would use this. You say, right now we got more than 90% of sexual assault victims not reporting it. Campuses need to make it easier. Colleges need to make it easier for students to come forward and report without being intimidated or, made to feel like they're the problem and that kind of thing. But you would use, that little statistic to help you make that case. You go on down, a lot of stuff. This is an editorial, but that doesn't mean it's any less of a good source. Don't blame it on alcohol. This is from, let's see where it's from. It's just a UR thing. Anyway, this is an interesting thing, because you hear a lot about how alcohol is the problem, and this editorial saying, it's more than alcohol. It's a lot of things that, just the whole campus culture that's a problem. This could be helpful, could provide you with some good insight into things. So, interesting stuff. We'll go back, go on down. All kinds of stuff. This is all the Stanford stuff. Lots and lots and lots of stuff. Lots of stuff about him, because he's totally in the news. Let's say show more results. And here we go. See, this kind of thing. Look, I won't feel safe on my college campus. This is from All Things Considered. This is a radio, an audio file, which you could listen to and use as a source. So this is how one person's perspective, which could be very, very good to use, just as, one example of how one student feels like she's not safe because of this stuff is going on her campus. All kinds of things. Here we go. Well-based alcohol education and sexual assault prevention training. Talk about how, the College of Charleston is doing these things, and maybe this helps. All kinds of things. This is still about the Stanford thing. Can you believe he got probation? Anyway, we go on, all these things. This right here, is just kind of about rape in general. There might be good information here that's tied to the university issue, to the campus issue, but if it's just about rape in general, it's not going to be that helpful to you. You want stuff that's specific to talking about sexual assault on college campuses. That's an interesting thing. I don't know that would particularly help us. This is Kansas, University of Kansas. We've got all kinds of stuff going on. So you want to, get on there and, this is good. Washington Post, that's a good one. In Ohio, all kinds of stuff. This is all over the place. And if I'm trying to prove that this is a widespread problem, or that students feel under attack, or like, potential victims, that women and men feel like this is a real problem for them, then I'm going to be pulling in information from all these different college campuses saying, look, this is what's going on in Michigan. This is what's going on in Minnesota. This is what's going on at Stanford. This is what's going on here and there in Missouri and wherever. And that is how I build my case to establish pattern, to show that, this is a widespread problem. Or yes, lots of students feel that they're in a hostile environment. Or yes, lots of administrations aren't doing what they need to be doing. Or these administrations are doing what they need to be doing, and more need to copy their example, that kind of thing. So we could go back out here then, back to an advanced search, and let's see this again. Let's see SALT, and let's see college, and let's say, let's just try to actually spell it right. Response. Let's do response and see what happens. I don't know if we'll get anything. Yeah, we did actually. You're not writing a how-to paper, okay? You're not telling me how to get rid of sexual assault so much as you're saying these are steps colleges need to do to, decrease the problem. So, this might have helpful information. Not so good here. Not so good here. You got to think through, what am I really trying to prove here? What are my topic sentences? What are my thesis points? And then I have to have stuff that actually proves those things. Okay, see, here's Babson College, wherever the heck that is. They're obviously, trying something. This is a tiny short article, but it might tell you a little bit about what one college is doing. Here we go. If you're looking for ways to solve the problem, maybe there's something in this. And this is just an abstract. This is super short, but you could probably look at the full article if you needed to. So, best practices. And again, it has to be tied to campus. Here we go. Reworking sexual assault response on university campuses, creating a rights-based empowerment model to minimize it. Sounds really dry, but it could still be kind of helpful. Then we go on up here, and let's look at magazines and see what we've got in there. Golly, this is from the Secretary of Defense, Georgetown University, talking about how can we prevent, how can we respond to this. Go on down. Ohio University, where they had a big thing go down there a couple years ago. Understanding sexual violence, talking about what they've done there. What has their response been? What are the women saying about what's going on, or any of the victims saying about what's been going on there? Procedural gaps for sexual assault cases. Look, this is really short, but it might give you a nice little overview and places to look. More college women sue over sex assaults. If you're trying to prove that maybe victims are starting to rise up and force colleges to change their ways, well, this might help you prove that. At least it could be one example to help you prove that, one piece of evidence. Responses to sexual assaults, inadequate. If you're looking at an overview here of, how colleges are not doing what they need to be doing, if you're trying to prove that they're not doing what they're doing, well, we've got just one situation from Amherst to show you that, they found on their campus that, and elsewhere, that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So this is a nice little overview. It gives you a nice little, quick look at what certain places are doing, so you could bring that in. Campus sexual assault response teams. Wow, that's a lengthy article that might tell you all kinds of good things. So you see, this is where I've got to look if I want to find the kinds of good articles and good evidence that's going to help me make my case. This isn't going to help you. This, though, handling sexual assault leads to resignation. This guy at St. Mary's College, had to resign because they didn't handle a sexual assault charge the way they should have handled it. And if you're trying to prove, let's say, what colleges should be doing or what they shouldn't be doing in the wake of sexual assault, maybe you use this as an example to prove, where things go wrong or to show what they could be doing better. So this is the way you have to think about this. This is not just a generic paper on sexual assault in general or on rape or what causes it or anything like that. That's not what we're looking at. What we're looking at is proving something that's specifically relevant to what's actually happening on campuses right now across the country, and whether they're doing the right thing, the wrong thing, whether women feel like they're, and victims in general, male and female, feel that universities are handling these things correctly, what universities could be doing better, what they're not doing enough of, what are the things that have led to the problem. Maybe it's a combination of of alcohol, of a culture that objectifies women on campus, and then an administration that doesn't care enough about it. All these things could be a perfect storm of things that cause the problem to exacerbate. Maybe we're looking at the effects of it. Is this affecting, graduation rates, retention rates for the people who are the victims of these things? Are they, how many of them end up dropping out of school? How many of them end up, transferring to a different college because of something that happened? Is it a widespread problem, like that there's tons and tons and tons of guys who are rapists? Or are we looking at really just a small pool of serial attackers who keep getting away with it because there's no good system in place to keep them from getting away with it? So all these different things can make or break your paper, and this is the way you want to be thinking about this issue if this is one that you're doing.